Hey guys, it's me, Graham Gamer, and welcome to another video. And we are at Kennedy Space Center, and we are on the bus tour. This is Deej. He's silly and he's weird, and yeah, he's essentially, you can tell he's my family just by knowing me and him. We are all, our family always has that trait of craziness. I think it's actually a biological trait. A lot of people say it's a personality trait and it's because you're raised by them. No, I think it's actually a recessive, it's actually a dominant trait in our family.
Whatever you say, my man.
What?
Whatever you say, my man.
That's what I believe. So, how are you guys? So, our bus is about to leave right at the moment, so I just wanted to talk to you guys before. I probably should. Come on, I need the. Hey, do you know any good editing tools?
Editing tools?
Yeah.
Nah, bro. I just use iMovie Maker.
Okay, I get that.
Dave, I'm still sitting right here.
I was just asking. So, wait, why is there that seat in front of us? Why is there that seat in front of us?
For the tour guide. Right? This seat right there.
Bus driver.
Huh? I thought there was a person that stands in the front and the bus driver drives.
I feel like you're making
Well, we're about to find out.
Well,
The easy way.
our family is the.
They were reserved, that'd be it.
I want to sit there. Then I wouldn't get to see what's in front of us. I'd only get to see what's behind us and on our side.
You'd be like, so what's happening, guys? Oh yeah, there's just the T-Rex.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Kennedy Space Center. You made it. You are here. We've been looking for you. You're here from all over the world. You're at the only place in the whole wide world where man left Earth to walk on the moon. If you remember, America went to the moon 9 times, Apollo 8, 10, and 13. We did not land. We landed 6 times, and only 12 in all the world to this day have ever walked on the moon. Only America, only NASA, only Kennedy Space Center, and only from one launch pad 39A. We'll sit down, get ready to go, start you off, let you watch the first video narrated by Robert Cabana. We call him Cabana Bob. Let's roll.
Hi, I'm Bob Cabana, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center. From launching the first Americans into space to launching humans to the moon, we've launched and carried the dreams of a nation. None of it would have been possible without the tremendous team that made it happen here on the Space Coast, that has made possible the launch of every American vehicle that carried a crew into space since that first flight 50 years ago. During this tour, you'll get a unique, behind-the-scenes look at how America wrote many significant chapters in human and robotic space history. Most recently, the Space Shuttle program that launched 135 missions culminated in the assembly of the International Space Station in Lower Earth. The station is truly an engineering marvel and a testament to what we can accomplish when we all work together. I think one of the most enduring legacies will be the international cooperation that we've achieved in building and operating it. It's provided us the framework for how we will move forward as we explore beyond our home planet. Not as explorers from any one country, but as explorers from planet Earth. You're visiting the center at a very exciting time. Since the end of the Space Shuttle program, we've been working on groundbreaking missions that are paving the way to the future. We're focused on launching scientific and research satellites, restoring the U.S. capability to launch humans into space from American soil, forging commercial partnerships, modernizing our infrastructure and facilities to support the growing variety of government and commercial activities and missions, and working toward long-term human exploration missions on our journey to Mars.
Finish that video in just a little bit. Let me show you a rocket. This is a real rocket. This is a Mercury Redstone rocket. It's 83 feet tall. It generated 78,000 pounds of thrust. The fuel was LOX, liquid oxygen minus 297, and alcohol. This is an IRBM, Intermediate Range Ballistic Missile. It was never intended for human flight. This little rocket was intended to put a nuclear warhead on there, had an intermediate range of about 200 miles. But it's the same kind of rocket Alan Shepard wrote into history 56 years ago, May 5th, 1961. Alan Bartlett Shepard Jr., just 37 years old, 5'11", 165 pounds, and he's from East Derry, New Hampshire. On that historical day when Alan Shepard became America's first astronaut in space, he crawled on top of Mercury Redstone number 3, sitting on launch pad number 5 over at Cape Canaveral. His Mercury capsule, Freedom 7. Shepard's ready to go. NASA won't push the buttons for 4 hours and 14 minutes. Shepard gets frustrated, literally ready to go. He grabs his radio, and this is what he says: "Shall fix your little problem and light this candle." Thus came the name of the book by Neil Thompson. Read it twice. Good book. So Benny Shepard said what he did at 9:34 in the morning, May 5th, 1961. NASA pushed that button, ignition, lift off. Alan Shepard lifted off from launch pad number 5. His little rocket climbed to an altitude of 116.5 miles. Went downrange 303 miles and splashed into the ocean. The duration of that little suborbital flight was 15 minutes, 28 seconds, and America had a spaceman, thanks to the unimaginable courage of Alan Shepard. 10 years later, February the 5th, 1971, Alan Shepard became the 5th astronaut in recorded history to walk on the moon. The only one of the original Mercury 7 to make it to the moon, and of course the only person in recorded history to this day to ever hit a golf ball on the moon. He used a 6-iron and he hit 2. The first one he shanked, it didn't do too good. Second one, well, it went for about half a mile. Beautiful palm trees. This is a Florida State tree, the Sable Palm Tree. Kennedy Space Center is a big place. 144,000 acres, 43 miles of undeveloped oceanfront property. That stretches from the south end of Cape Canaveral Air Force Station all the way up the east coast of Florida to New Smyrna Beach. Just about 6% of all this land is used for the space program. The remainder is left in its natural state, and it is a national wildlife refuge, second in Florida only to the Florida Everglades. Now, it's estimated that 330 different types of birds are living here at one time or the other during the year. 31 different kinds of mammals, 68 different types of reptiles and amphibians, 117 different kinds of fish, 1,000 different types of plants, and there's over 20 kinds of mosquitoes for your pleasure while you're touring the Space Center today. Only the little ladies do the biting. The male mosquito, he's a vegetarian. So if an old mosquito happens to land on your shoulder while you're visiting the Space Center today, get out your pencil and paper, do the math, you'll come up with a 50-50 chance of even getting bit. Should make you feel a whole lot better. Got you watch a video about this big building? I'll be back.
Just ahead is one of the world's largest buildings by volume, the Vehicle Assembly Building, or VAB. It was built for the Apollo program in the 1960s and stands 525 feet or 160 meters high. The American flag you see on the front is 21 stories tall. The VAB is where everything comes together before a launch. The Apollo and Space Shuttle vehicles were assembled for flight in the VAB. This cavernous facility contains 4 huge bays where the spacecraft were assembled using massive overhead bridge cranes for highly complex maneuvers. Today, the VAB is being updated to assemble our next human-rated launch vehicle, the Space Launch System, or SLS. The SLS is the most powerful rocket in history and has an evolvable design that ranges from 321 to 384 feet tall, depending on mission requirements. This rocket will someday help NASA to reach its goal of human exploration of Mars. The large tower next to the VAB is the mobile launcher being built for SLS.
Reach right here.
When completed, it will carry the massive launch vehicle on top of the crawler transporter to pad 39B. You will learn more about the launch of SLS when we get to the launch pad. Adjacent to the VAB is the Launch Control Center, the distinctively shaped 4-story building which houses the launch team. This is where the ground controllers, engineers, and launch director monitor the spacecraft and manage all the activities leading up to launch.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, may I present to you this afternoon the tallest 1-story building in the world. This is the Vehicle Assembly Building. We call it the VAB for short. When this building was completed in 1966, it was the largest building in all the world. Now it's number 6 by volume. The building is 525 feet tall, 716 feet long, 518 feet wide, and it covers approximately 8 acres of ground. Well, there's 129,428,000 cubic foot of space inside this building. So big you could put the Pentagon in there, have room left over. So big you could put the Empire State Building by volume, not by height, by volume. Inside this building, 3.5 times. Now, there's big lifting devices in there, the largest of which is a 325-ton lifting hook. To operate that hook, the operators have to pass one little test. Lower that big hook from the top of the building down to the ground floor, set it on top of a raw egg, don't crack the shell, you pass the test. Crack the shell, you're going to take that test over. On the east and west side of this building, you're looking at the tallest doors in the world. They're called high bay doors. High bay 2 and 4 here on the west side, high bay 1 and 3 on the east side of the building. These high bay doors open up with 11 movable panels to a height of 456 feet. They're the tallest doors in the world. The Statue of Liberty from pedestal to torch is 305. Slip it through one of those doors, have 151 foot left over. When we rolled out a moon rocket, you're going to see one when I drop you off at the Saturn V Center. The big moon rocket cleared the top of the door just by 6 feet. To this day, the Saturn V moon rocket remains the largest, the most powerful, the most complicated rocket ever developed and launched by anyone, anywhere in all the world. The rocket that took man to the moon. 3 identical buildings with the bands painted around the top are called Orbiter Processing Facility buildings. 110-day turnaround would have been ideal. The quickest we turned shuttle around, launched it again, 54 days. Now the orbiter is the part of the shuttle that looks like an airplane. You only correctly call it a shuttle when you add the orange tank and the 2 white solid rocket boosters. We launch a shuttle, we land an orbiter. 6 orbiters were built. The very first orbiter, NASA called that one the Constitution, just for a few weeks, until the Star Trek fans insisted we change the name to Enterprise. So we did. We lost the Challenger, we lost the Columbia. We still have the Atlantis, the Endeavour, and the Discovery. These orbiters weigh about 200,000 pounds apiece, 122 feet long. They have a wingspan of 78 feet. They measure 56 feet from the bottom of the tires to the top of the tail wing. That's called the taxi height. Here's the only 2 crawler transporters in the world. All the launch vehicles that were assembled in that big building were rolled out to one of our 2 launch pads as one of these 2 crawler transporters. They were originally built in 1965 in Marion, Ohio by Marion Power Shovel Company. These crawler transporters weigh 6 million pounds apiece. 8 different tracks, 57 cleats of shoes per track. Each one of those rusty shoes is 7.5 feet long and weighs 2,100 pounds, over a ton. The platform above those tracks can hydraulically lift from 20 to 26 feet using 16 hydraulic pistons. 4 big hydraulic pistons on each corner of that platform. They're powered by 2 locomotive diesel engines that are 2,750 horsepower apiece. That provides the power for 4 generators that generate 1,000 kilowatts each of direct current DC current for 16 electric traction motors that move that crawler transporter. Now they have two 2,500-gallon tanks of diesel on board. They need all that diesel because they get between 32 and 42 to the gallon. That's not miles, that's feet. Go home and give your SUV a big old hug. Here's the way it would work. One of our two crawler transporters would drive up underneath one of these three mobile launch platforms. The platform we just passed is one of three. It weighs 8.2 million pounds and it sits on 6 pedestals 22 feet above the ground. So the crawler transporter would drive up underneath there, lift it up, slow roll into the vehicle assembly building, set it on 6 pedestals, and back out of the way. In past years, we would assemble a big moon rocket or a space shuttle. When it was time to go to the launch pad, the crawler transporter would go in, lift it up, slow roll at a half a mile an hour, 3.4 miles out to A, 4.2 miles over to B. Our two launch pads are about 1.6 miles apart. Once at the launch pad, we had to go up a 5% grade, keeping the big moon rocket or the space shuttle perfectly vertical as we went up that 5% grade. They tell us the top of the moon rocket or the space shuttle did not move any more, north, south, east, or west than the width of a basketball. Set it on 6 pedestals at the top of the launch pad, then the crawler transporter would lower itself down and stage about a mile away. Now here's your high bay doors on the east side to identical doors on the west side. These are the tallest doors in the world. They open up with 11 movable panels to a height of 456 feet. The Statue of Liberty from pedestal to torch is 305. Slip it through one of those doors, have 151 foot left over. These 4 bottom panels are 114 feet tall. They weigh 73 tons apiece. They open horizontal, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, for a maximum width of 152 feet. The remainder of those 7 vertical panels are 76 feet wide. They weigh 32 tons apiece, and they open vertical one right behind the other to a height of 456 feet to the tallest doors in the world. When we rolled out a moon rocket, you're going to see what, just a few minutes, the big Saturn V moon rocket cleared the top of the door just by 6 feet. To this day, the Saturn V moon rocket remains the largest, the most powerful, the most complicated rocket ever developed and launched by anyone, anywhere in all the world. The rocket that took man to the moon. Launch Control Center here, Mission Control, Houston, Texas. What's up with that? Well, I can clarify that for you with 3 little initials, LBJ. Lyndon Baines Johnson simply said in a meeting in Texas, just where in Texas are we going to put Mission Control? The rest is in the history book. We're going across the crawlerway. This special track was built when we rolled out the big moon rockets. We had over 18 million pounds mobile. So we built that special track called the crawlerway. We dug down 7 feet deep. We took out all the mud, came back with different layers of hydraulic fill, compact fill, limestone. The top 5 to 10 inches, Alabama River rock, comes from the Tennessee River that flows through Alabama. This is the barge basin over here. The orange external fuel tank would arrive here on a barge called the Pegasus all the way from Louisiana. Look across the barge basin. Over by the American flag, you see that royal blue cabinet? That's a brand new multimedia flat screen. You watch any of these launches on national TV, that's the countdown clock you're going to be looking at right there. The original countdown clock was in that blue cabinet since 1969. It's at the entrance to the Visitors Complex. It's the second most viewed clock in all the world, second only to London's Big Ben. That's a press site over there. All these vehicles, these are employees. 10 to 13,000 employees. Jobs are on the way up. Opportunity is here. Between NASA, Elon Musk, SpaceX project, Blue Origins, Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, building a big rocket producing facility right over there by the Visitors Center. Hundreds and hundreds of high-tech, good pay and jobs are available. Keep your grade point average up. They like the best of the best. And if it was your company, you would want the best of the best. 1998 was to paint the NASA logo on the southeast corner to celebrate the 40th anniversary of NASA, 58 to 98. That round blue ball is 110 feet in diameter.